This video lesson is for grade 6 math, chapter 2.2, and the topic is absolute value. There are two objectives for this lesson. The first is to understand the absolute value of a number as its distance from 0 on the number line. And the second, to interpret absolute value as the magnitude for a positive or a negative quantity in a real-world situation. Let's get started. A number's absolute value is all about its distance from 0 on the number line. Let's take a look at this example and calculate the absolute value of 5 and negative 5. First, let's count the spaces from 0 to negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is located 5 spaces from 0. Now let's do the same for negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Negative 5 is also 5 spaces from 0. So the absolute value of negative 5 and 5 is the same. They're both the same distance from 0 on the number line. Because absolute value represents a distance, it is always a positive number. Distances are always positive. So we represent that with the absolute value bars, which look like this. The absolute value of 5 would be written like this. The absolute value of negative 5 would be written like this. But please note that the absolute values are always a positive number because distance is always positive. Let's use this example to work together and identify these absolute values. Remember, absolute value is simply the distance from 0 that a number lies on the number line. So let's begin with negative 9. Let's count the spaces between 0 and negative 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the absolute value of negative 9 is 9. In B, we're trying to find the absolute value of 1, which is 1 space from 0 on the number line, so its absolute value is 1. Let's look at negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The absolute value is 4. 3 is 1, 2, 3 spaces from 0, so its absolute value is 3. Finally, please note that even though 1 is greater than negative 4, the absolute value of 1 is less than the absolute value of negative 4. Because really, when we're comparing the absolute values of 1 and negative 4, we're comparing 1 and 4. Don't let that negative sign trick you when you're working with absolute values. Try a few of these problems on your own. Use the number line drawn here to help you find the absolute value of each of these numbers in problems 1 through 6. Now determine the absolute value of these numbers without using the number line. Now let's use absolute value to interpret a real-world situation. This picture shows a section from a bank account book. So, as of May 31st, we know that our person had $280 in his or her account. On June 15, they deposited $40, so they added $40, bringing us to $320. On June 24th, this person, who apparently wasn't paying very close attention to their balance, withdrew $490. Oops, that's more than $320, taking us to a negative $170. So how much money does the person have in their account? It's minus $170. But we wouldn't say the person has a negative $170 in their account. We'd phrase it more like this. We'd say the person was overdrawn by $170. And that $170 statement comes from using the absolute value of negative 170. We want to know how far away the person is from 0, and the answer is $170. Let's work through one more example of absolute value together. This one's pretty silly, but it's kind of fun. So let's pretend we have a dog standing on a cliff that is 35 feet above sea level. Next, we have a shark. And our shark friend is swimming 6 feet below sea level. Finally, we have our last friend in this equation, an octopus. And our octopus friend is hanging out at the bottom of the ocean at negative 40 feet. So our question is, which animal is farthest from sea level? Well, let's begin by simply writing where each animal is now. The dog is at 35 feet. The shark is at negative 6 feet. And the octopus is at negative 40 feet. To decide which animal is furthest from sea level, we don't need to think about whether the animals are above sea level, like the dog, or below sea level, like the shark or the octopus. We can just use absolute value to compare the distances. So using absolute value means that the dog is 35 feet from sea level, the shark is 6 feet, and the octopus is 40 feet from sea level. Therefore, the octopus is furthest from sea level. Try this absolute value problem on your own. Following this problem, there will be one last guided practice problem to close out this chapter. And here's your final problem of this lesson. Please complete both parts of this question, record answers in your homework notebook. I'll see you tomorrow to discuss absolute value in detail and try some more practice problems.